everybody. Hello again and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise and clap it up. Get excited wherever you are, because we are back with another jam-packed episode as we have a bunch of stuff to cover in the world of boxing. This is a boxing dedicated episode because a bunch of stuff happened over this past weekend that we have to discuss and we have to cover, as well as some developments that have been happening with some fights that were just announced. Oh, we got so much to talk about in so little time. So without further ado, let's jump right into the world of sports, into the world of boxing specifically. But before we start, please leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire of a channel. Together, we're nearly at 1,000 subscribers. We are climbing our way up through the ranks, and I can't do it without your help, and all the support that you've brought to this show means the world to me. So thank you so much for all of your help and all of your constant sharing. Keep on doing that. We can make this community bigger and better as time goes on. So again, thank you so much for all of the views and for all of the continued loyalty to the channel. I appreciate it so much. But again, without further ado, let's jump right into the world of boxing. Since we're talking about boxing, we have to step into the ring. That is right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway. Talking about first and foremost when we get to the major event of Ngannou versus Joshua. Before that, we had Joseph Parker versus Big Bang Zhang, one of my favorite fighters in the heavyweight division. Big Bang Zhang going up against Joseph Parker to defend his interim title. Again, whoever wins this fight is a mandatory for Usyk's belt, or excuse me, the winner of Usyk versus Fury. They become a mandatory for that title and become essentially a next candidate for the Undisputed Championship. Again, beyond just the winner of Ngannou versus Joshua. Again, and we will talk about that fight after this, trust and believe. But before that, with Zhang versus Parker, this was a fight that was highly intriguing, one of the more anticipated fights I have been waiting. I didn't get to cover it. My apologies, but I was going to pick Zhang to win. But lo and behold, what just happened? We got an upset. We have a legitimate upset on our hands. Joseph Parker beat Big Bang Zhang after getting knocked down twice, and the power of Zhang really showing apparent and seeming to be too much for Joseph Parker, just like when Joseph Parker went up against Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce inevitably came in and just went straight through him and knocked him out. Inevitably, I thought it was going to be a repeat. This seemed like it was going to be another crack at history, or rather a repeat offense of history that we had seen before in terms of Joseph Parker going up against another heavy hitter. But oh, lo and behold, what happened? He powered through a broken nose, through getting caught consistently with that big straight left, and that hook from Zhang still kept on powering through. And it was an incredible display to see. Now, initially, I was thinking Zhang won the fight. Those were my initial thoughts. I thought that Zhang had won the fight outright, but going back over, no, Joseph Parker did deserve that win. He definitely did. Because here was the story of the fight. Though it was Zhang who was landing devastating shots that were hurting and wobbling Joseph Parker all night long, which they were. Let's not get it twisted. Zhang was putting Joseph Parker in serious trouble on multiple occasions in this fight. Consistently, he was able to get Joseph Parker hurt. Zhang's power and timing were going up against Joseph Parker's toughness and speed, and he was catching him. He legitimately was. That Olympic style and pedigree that Zhang has at his disposal, was showing forth. Because again, Zhang has incredibly quick hands. Yes, he does. But he's not as quick all around as we know Joseph Parker is. Again, Joseph Parker is tenacious. He is fast. He can get in and out quickly, as we saw against Deontay Wilder. And he's got a tough chin, so he's willing to take a shot to be able to give one back. And with him being able to take the power of somebody like Deontay Wilder, okay, boom, all the confidence in the world for him to come in and say, okay, I'll eat shots in order to give one back if necessary. All the more reason why, hey, this was an incredibly tough matchup. But Zhang still, with his power showing true and his timing always there, he caught him multiple times. caught him with uppercuts in the clinch, was able to catch him again with that big straight left after pawing with the jab and getting Joseph Parker's head movement down. And then catching him right through the guard. Or catching him with the left hook off a combination. It was sublime. But the only problem was, even with all of that being done, Zhang didn't do enough in terms of activity. He had a couple knockdowns. He had 2 knockdowns. He was wobbling Joseph Parker. He was hurting him. But he wasn't being active enough later on in the fight. Legit, especially after round 7. It was a real scenario where even though all of his punches were more devastating, more damaging, and were giving Joseph Parker some legitimate cause for pause and some legitimate trouble, it was Joseph Parker's tenacity and his willingness to throw more that won him this fight. He was throwing more power punches. He was throwing more in volume. He was landing on Zhang both to the head and to the body. Yes, it wasn't hurting Zhang. No, it wasn't. But they were essentially hard scoring shots that were winning rounds from under Zhang's nose. Though Zhang was being the more damaging fighter. This brought up another question that we kept asking about Zhang. With his stamina, what will he be able to do? We had seen it improve, don't get me wrong, especially from the fight with Hergovich that he got robbed from, that he should have been undefeated going into this fight. But that gas tank was always something that was a concern with Zhang. Always something that was a question with him, because for all the power and for all the technique, for all the timing and legitimate ability that he has, for the quick hands that he has at his disposal, and the ability to counter and catch any opponent, he always had a question of whether or not his stamina could last. Can he last that long? Can he go 10, 12 rounds without needing to worry about whether or not he'll be winded or gassed or be outworked? And we thought that had become prevalent, or rather become a non-factor, after the Joe Joyce fight, when he knocked out Joe Joyce twice, or rather got him with a TKO stoppage in the first fight and then knocked him out in the second fight. Stamina seemed great. No heavy breathing, no real cause for, wait a minute, is he running low? Was pacing himself with doing all of it. And so it seemed like, okay, maybe now he's learned how to manage his gas tank so he can go the full 12 and be dangerous in all accounts. But now we got to see that he still has some concern, and that might have been what cost him this fight. That gas tank might have been what cost him his interim title. Because against Joseph Parker, when Joseph Parker started turning up the heat, when he started throwing more in volume, when he started attacking first, and Zhang was strictly trying to counter, it was a situation, yes, he was catching him on off circumstances, but the sheer amount of punches that he was throwing in terms of Joseph Parker versus Zhang wasn't able to fill that gap. He just wasn't able to do it. If he had been more active in throwing more power shots, not just pawing with the jab, but then doubling up with that left hand like he did against Joe Joyce. If he had been willing to double up on his power shots, maybe get in the clinch in the more and try to land on the inside with an uppercut, like he was doing in this fight. A mean uppercut, mind you, that landed, that I thought should have put Joseph Parker out. But somehow he stayed up. It was insane. But landing more shots like that by initiating and forcing the interior pressure, forcing your size to work against Joseph Parker, forcing Joseph Parker to have to fight in the clinch, fight with your weight, fight with your power, rather than being able to go and strike first and then get out later. That could have been the difference in winning this fight. That could have been the thing that got him a victory. That could have been the very tactic that may have taken him over the top. It very well could have. But again, with all that being said, this is a credit to Joe Joyce. To Joseph Parker, not Joe Joyce, my apologies. This is a credit to Joseph Parker. Because Joseph Parker in this fight was utterly, shocked me, shocked a bunch of people, and has gotten his way back to the top. Joseph Parker has climbed the mountain again into a legitimate title opportunity when we all thought, again, while he's very respected, while he is known and understood as being a dangerous opponent, this was a resurgence. It was a comeback to it. Him beating Wilder was a shock. We thought that was supposed to be a setup of Wilder versus AJ. Now, goes through Wilder, then beats Zhang. Boom. Next thing you know, he's in line for a fight for the undisputed title at some point in time. Yeah, it's insane to see. It's wild that this is where we're at. And it's a great credit to him as a boxer, showing that he is not just some overlooked name. No, he's legit. No, he is real. Beating somebody like Zhang is significant. It is substantial. Coming back from off the canvas twice and still getting a victory is substantial and well earned and deserves all the respect in the world. That deserves praise and recognition. Absolutely. That is phenomenal for him. This is great. And now I want to see it. I want to see him back in the I'm glad that he's back in the title picture. And I can't wait to see him go up against, either the winner of Fury and Usyk, maybe get a rematch with Anthony Joshua in that fight. Whoever wins that, they then get the shot at Fury or Usyk for the undisputed title, depending on who wins that matchup. That rematch maybe look different. It very well may be due to Joseph Parker having a resurgence. So credit to him. But with all that being said, well, maybe that fight will look the same, if they did ever match up against each other. Because now going into the second portion of the show, we have to discuss Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua. And you want to talk about utter devastation. My word. It was just a bomb. Just a bomb. It was a bombshell of an event. And it was a bombshell of a fight. And it ended in a bombastic type fashion. Because Anthony Joshua absolutely obliterated Francis Ngannou in 2 rounds. Just outright washed him. Destroyed him. It's something that, ironically enough, this was a fight that Ngannou was favored in. It was insane. But more people than I ever expected had Francis Ngannou winning that fight with Anthony Joshua. Now again, I broke down this fight. And may I just say, I was right again. Hey, I'm still on a roll. Yes, indeed. I'm still on a roll. I'm still batting above 90. Batting above 900. I'm a bad buddy when it comes to these predictions. But all that being said, I digress. It's a situation where I'm surprised how many people had Ngannou winning this fight. And I understood why to a degree. Like I said before, I understood that Ngannou had a shot to beat him. I understood he had a shot to be able to shock the world and get a legitimate win over AJ because of the chinniness, or rather the vulnerability of AJ's chin. The threat of him getting knocked out, on top of the ability to potentially succumb to the pressure that Ngannou will bring to the ring. This would be, would he be able to keep his composure, keep his confidence, keep his poise, and fight like the man who should be the better man in this fight, who should be the best man that Ngannou's ever faced, striking-wise. That's what this had to be. And he did it with flying colors. He fought just like we wanted AJ to fight. That's what he did. Anthony Joshua fought as if he understood and knew, I am the baddest brother that Ngannou has ever faced on the feet, and I am the man that controls this entire element of the ring. Nothing that he can do should be able to affect me, and I should be able to destroy this man. I knew he had the power. I knew he had the technique. I knew that Ngannou had not faced anybody up to that caliber of combined technique and absolute destructive possibility. And not outside of anybody, ever, in the history of his career, even amongst Tyson Fury. Nobody of that combination was something that Ngannou had faced before. Now, we saw what happens when he went up against it. Outright clean clock. Just got beat to kingdom come. Didn't let Ngannou's seemingly sporadic and eager pressure sway Joshua from doing what he needed to do. He was able to consistently keep Ngannou at distance. Like I said in the breakdown, keep Ngannou at distance. Fight on the outside. Make it so that he would attack with his jab to the body and to the head, but not getting too close on the inside into a grapple game. Would force Ngannou to come in and make a mistake and then capitalize on it from the outside, though his reach is shorter than Ngannou's. He can control the outside fight, and that is how you win the day. And look at what happened. Ngannou was eager, trying to catch him with that check hook like he caught Tyson Fury with. was swinging wide. Yes, it was dangerous. He was trying to time it. Almost got close a couple times, but still trying to time it. Had that guard up, but it wasn't a guard that was, again, a boxer's guard, an MMA style guard. And what does that mean? There is an opening on one side of the head. Always an opening at one side. When you have your jab that far out and you're not able to bring it back like needed when you're in a boxing match. Boom. If you can't react fast enough and you can't frame properly or you can't parry properly with that essentially javelin of a stance that Ngannou had, well, you're open to a lot of damage, especially if you don't move your head like Ngannou does not do. And what did we see happen? Round one, pop, right in the kisser, right in the face, right down the pipe. A simple 1-2. Boom, caught him clean and stunned him, hurt him bad. My gosh, it hurt him bad. I ain't never seen him hurt. I ain't never seen him down. Nobody had ever seen Ngannou down. We were all, and rightfully so, clamoring over the iron chin of Ngannou. Then second round comes around, boom, knocked down again. And then just absolutely blows through with one of the most disrespectful and outright brazen shots I've ever seen a boxer throw. No setup. Essentially just straight up one step, dip down, and just throw with all your might. Ngannou was already out of it. So might as well get it over with. Don't play with your food. Get it done in the fight. And this is the AJ that we wanted to see. This Anthony Joshua did everything we wanted to see him do. Everything that we expected to see Tyson Fury do in the first fight. And moreover, proved that he is indeed back. Now, I don't want to overhype the situation, but there's a reason to say Anthony Joshua is indeed back. We said it in Ottawa Lean, but this was one of the biggest tests, not because of talent level, but because of consistency. What I've been saying, what I just recently referenced, what I said in the past, and Joshua with confidence and with the absolute ability to believe in himself, how far would that go? How far would that stand? How long would we see that confidence stay with him, or would we see it in any way, shape, or form falter as fights go on? And now we can say it's consistent. It's there. Everything that we want from Joshua is now instilled in him. Didn't fret away. Didn't go away from the absolute conqueror's hockey type ability and type confidence that Ngannou was bringing to the table. Did not mess around when it came to outmatching his opponent. Went for the kill immediately. Jab looked sharp in the short time that we got to see it. Jab looked sharp, capitalized on the openings, hit what needed to be hit, and didn't waste any movement, didn't waste any time, wasn't scared. That was the biggest thing. He wasn't scared of what Ngannou could do. Because regardless of what you want to say about Tyson Fury on that night, the one thing we can say is that his chin and his heart is undeniable. And him taking, again, 3 fights versus Wilder and being able to keep on fighting, let alone win, getting up consistently, showed that his chin and his heart is something impeccable. And to not shy away from Wilder after you've been hurt and knocked down in all 3 fights, let alone coming forward stronger, was something of a madman. I don't care how you feel about him now, that is set in stone. And so for him to then back up versus Ngannou was something we've never seen before. Not even from the heaviest hitter in the division in Deontay Wilder. But that struck fear in everybody. That struck a chord with everybody. That gave everybody a reason to wait, pause, and look at Ngannou with a different light. And give AJ some serious opposition that he should, and justifiably so, should have been worried about. There was no mistaking that. And to then still go out and absolutely walk through Ngannou as if there was nothing that he needed to worry about. The fear was utterly gone. The outright notion that he could get knocked out wasn't even on his mind. It was just seek and destroy. Go home. That was his whole mentality. Go home. That's what we wanted from Joshua. Go home. Not just to go home and retire, but go home, get the job done, and go back into the mode of I'm ready for the next challenge. This was sublime. It was sublime. Again, I don't want to overreact to this because this is something that should have happened. We understand it. This is something that should have already been happened when it was Tyson Fury fighting. But for Anthony Joshua, being the most well-rounded boxer in the heavyweight division, having the second best power in the division, along with top 5 in technique and footwork and everything else imaginable, indeed he was outclassing him to kingdom come. Would he commit to it and fight like it? And he answered that question, yes he did. And yes he can. Showed that his power was enough. Showed that his outright aura is back. This is the age that we wanted to see. Contextually, this is a fight that shouldn't have been competitive in any way, shape, or form. Again, I said that he was going to win. I said that he could win by knockout. I understood that Ngannou's chin might have been able to stand up to it. Hence, I said either by knockout or decision. Because we understand that if Ngannou could tank, or how much Ngannou can tank hits. Because respect to what he's done in the UFC, we understood this brother can take punches and took punches from the heaviest man in the heavyweight division and still walk through him. Walk through him like fire. Walk through him like butter, excuse me. So it seemed like this was not a contest to say, or it was not out of the question to say, Ngannou could stand up to Joshua. But lo and behold, look at where we're at now. Joshua proved everybody right in a fashion that many of us, many people, may not have been expecting, but should have happened. He did what he needed to do, which is something that we have been waiting on Joshua to commit to consistently. Did it against Ottawa. Was doing it earlier in his career. Getting people out that didn't belong on his level. Now, seems like he's back in that mode again. And now I want to see him back in the ring as a title contender. Again, this is not something I want to overblow. In terms of, oh my, this win just showed he's back. No, I'm not saying that. Or rather, let me rephrase that. I don't want to overblow this and say that this win was something that, oh, he's the best heavyweight in the world. No. Forget that. No, that's ridiculous. Whoever says that as a sentiment is stupid, ignorant. That is absolutely not the case. No. He is still the third best heavyweight in the world. Yeah, absolutely. It is, for my money, Usyk, winner of Usyk and Fury, depending on who wins that fight, but for my money, Usyk won. Based on what we've seen in the last couple of performances. We could put AJ back at 2. And then Fury at 3. And then with Joseph Parker winning, Joseph Parker at 4. Very well could be. In terms of talent. At this stage in the life cycle of the heavyweight division. He's in the top 3. But he's not number 1 because of this win. Just because he dominated an opponent that he should have dominated doesn't make him the best heavyweight in the division. No, it doesn't. No. This shouldn't have been competitive. And Ngannou versus Tyson Fury shouldn't have been competitive. But it was. He shocked the world. Understandable. I've said it. And he proved that he was one of the best heavyweights in the world in terms of Ngannou with that performance in what should have been a win and him being the lineal heavyweight champion. Because that belt is always on the line, whether the other titles or not. But with AJ winning this fight, gives us confidence to say everything looks like it's put together for AJ. The training, the coaching, the style, all of it. It looks comfortable. It looks like the AJ that was running through everybody and looking like the prodigal son of not just British heavyweight boxing, but the man to rule an era. That's what he was. Understand, even right now, with how his resume was before the seemingly stagnation in himself as a boxer, before the loss to Ruiz, even before the comeback trail, when he was indeed still looking like he was finding himself. He still has one of the best records or resumes in the world of boxing, in the heavyweight division. Was he? A knockout streak to Kingdom Come? At one point in time, it was like 16-0 in terms of KOs. was insane in the realm of opponents. Joseph Parker, Dillian White, Klitschko, going through everybody. Indeed he was. Indeed he was. It wasn't like some ho-hum type situation. No. He's already put up an incredible resume relative to everybody else in the sport, in the division. He has one of the best heavyweight resumes of any of the elite boxers today. That is undeniable. That is outright understood if you follow the sport. You objectively cannot go against it. He's fought everybody. He's gone through all the tests and trials. And now he looks to get himself back to the top. This is phenomenal. This is great. This is wonderful for AJ. Because again, yes, this was a fight that he should have won. But handling business like he handled it, earning a knockout of the year contender against somebody of this caliber that still is respected as a warrior, and if we're being perfectly honest, was somebody that even now, with more training, could still give a bunch of heavyweights a run for their money. Just because he went up against the elite of the elite and lost in a devastating fashion, granted. But against the other best of the best, in terms of Tyson Fury, what did he do? Beat him. Yes, he did beat him. He did beat him. So, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. It should show you at best what he can do. This is great for Anthony Joshua. It gives us a sense of confidence to say, okay, now if he goes up against somebody like an Usyk, again, this could be the best performance that he ever puts up against somebody like him. Because now the makeup of his style could very well, at this stage, be set and poised to finally get the victory over him. Usyk's a better boxer, don't get me wrong. He beat him twice in a row. Back to back, I understand him. But now, with this seemingly rejuvenated AJ, I would love to see that fight again for a third time. That would be competitive. That would be fun. That would be a good fight to watch. I would enjoy it. I would love to see a trilogy. If Usyk wins again, hey, it just shows how great Usyk is. One of the best heavyweights of this era. One of the best boxers of this era. Undisputed at cruiserweight and now coming up to heavyweight, potentially to be undisputed again. It could be utterly phenomenal. Spectacular to watch. But this is what we wanted to see from AJ. Domination of getting the job done, handling business against somebody that is not on your level. Boom. He passed the test with flying colors. And in terms of Ngannou, going to Ngannou after this devastating loss and being knocked out by AJ, this is not a slight against him. This is not a knock against him. This loss is not something that is so detrimental that is just embarrassing. No, it's not. You got knocked out against one of the best and hardest hitting heavyweights in the world today. Against one of the best well-rounded heavyweights in the world today. Against a heavyweight who's been a 2-time champion. Whose power is only second to the hardest hitter in Deontay Wilder. And you earn, if you're Ngannou, you earn the right to fight him by all accounts, my metrics, beating the heavyweight champion currently right now, and the lineal heavyweight champion. Because he did do enough to beat Tyson Fury when he fought him before AJ. I understand that. So he earned the right to say, yeah, I am equipped to be in consideration for the elite of the heavyweight division after what I just did to your champion. Nobody can overlook that. We can't say he just walked in. This ain't like Jake Paul. This ain't like that. This isn't like an influencer or somebody outside the sport all of a sudden coming in, just bing, bang, boom, ooh-wee. All of a sudden I get a title shot. Unearned. No, this isn't like, no, he earned the right because he showed that he had the ability to get in the ring with the best of the best that the heavyweight division had to offer. Because he fought the best of the best in the heavyweight division. In terms of Tyson Fury, or one of the best of the best, excuse me, who's still my number one. But the current heavyweight champion and Tyson Fury, he fought him, gave him fits, knocked him down, Honestly, should have gotten 2 knockdowns and should have won the fight. So, by all accounts, this is a fight that was earned. This was a fight that was warranted, understood. If he gave the heavyweight champion away for his money, what could he do against somebody who's been a champion before? This could be incredible. It wasn't like anybody was out the question to say, hey, Ngannou could beat him. No. It shouldn't have been that wide of a margin in terms of how many people said that Ngannou was going to win, but still, leading with their heart rather than their head. But it wasn't earned right, and he earned the opportunity because he showed his ability. And now, with him in this state of after a loss, where does he go? Well, it's very simple. He just goes back to MMA. But he could still stay in boxing. That is understood. He could indeed still stay in boxing. Because if he's staying in boxing with more training, who knows what this brother could be? Because he has a solid foundation. The crux of this whole dilemma with Ngannou is that if he didn't start boxing until later in his life, started boxing early, in his career, but then got talked into switching into MMA, and then, boom, now we see where he's at, dominating the UFC. Understandable. But if he had started out boxing earlier in his career, he would have been a champion. He would be the champion right now. And I firmly stand by it. I firmly stand by it. With legitimate boxing training, all the way from his youth until now, he would be the heavyweight champion. That fight with AJ would have been so much closer. That would have been one of the biggest fights of the year. Not just in terms of appeal or event stats like this one was, but as a legitimate boxing fight, as a legitimate title opportunity, as a legitimate competitor versus competitor on an even playing field. This would have been one of the biggest fights of the year. Objectively. One of the biggest fights of the last 5 years. Power on power. Size on size. It would have been insane to see. I would have loved to see Ngannou fully invested in the world of boxing. But he wasn't. But he overachieved to Kingdom Come and shocked us all. So this isn't bad to lose against somebody like AJ. It's not bad to get knocked out against one of the best heavyweights in the world, one of the best knockout artists in the world, in Anthony Joshua. And Ngannou should hold his head up high. He really should. This is not a knock against him. Still has a tremendous MMA pedigree. Is still one of the most devastating men and human beings in the sport today. And is somebody who has now gotten the money that he so fervently deserved earlier in his career. With the MMA gypping him on his ability to earn. With him getting out of his contract with the UFC. Getting to the PLF and becoming a millionaire. Then fighting Tyson Fury, becoming a bigger millionaire. And then fighting Anthony Joshua, then becoming another multi-millionaire. Earning the revenue that his star power deserved. Fighting it and fighting his way to the top. Again, all of this was earned. It went from a spectacle to a legitimate circumstance with how he performed. So this is not a knock against him. If he goes back to the MMA, great. And he's already signed he already agreed that he's going to go fight in the PFL, for an MMA fight. So that's understood. But like AJ told Ngannou, hey, don't leave boxing. Hey, don't do it. The avenue's always open. You are better off than 90% of the heavyweights right now. Because look at what you did against somebody like a Tyson Fury. That is objectively undeniable. Because even a sloppy Tyson Fury, at the state that he was then, should have still been able to beat him. And if he wasn't taking it seriously before the knockdown, after the knockdown, when Tyson Fury actively started boxing and trying, it should have been an easy wide gap in the margin. And you should have gotten knocked out. But you didn't. In fact, you took the fight to him, and in all accounts, you should have won. So you are better off than 90% of the heavyweight division. You staying in boxing, going journeyman, training, and losing those MMA tendencies and gaining the better striking, or rather boxing acumen of the fundamentals of this sport, you could be golden. You really could. And you're doing so much for the sport. So no, don't quit. Don't go anywhere. Don't leave. Many people say they want you to stay in MMA, and I want you to keep on fighting and being the baddest man in the MMA. Understand? We'd love to see him fight John Jones one day. Hopefully that's sooner rather than later. But even still, at this point, Ngannou's a brother who can do whatever he wants. At this point, that's just where he's at. That's what he is. He's achieved more than anybody could imagine. And he showed that his ability, at minimum, can put him in the top 10 on his best day. Can compete with the best in any sport, like he did against Tyson Fury. So getting knocked out doesn't hurt him. The only thing that he brings into question is, where is his chin now? After being caught clean, after being knocked out, after being essentially knocked down and knocked out on 3 different scenarios, or rather, knocked down twice, knocked out in the final time, so knocked down 3 times. Where is his chin at? We know some people, after they get cracked, they're never the same. We've never seen Ngannou even stunned, dazed, let alone put on his butt. We saw him on the ground for 5 minutes. He said he didn't even feel the punch. That's what a knockout does to you. You don't feel the punch when you get knocked out. You just go down. Ironically enough, he got knocked down the same way that he knocked down Stipe when he won the championship. But he still looks like a killer. But with his chin, where is that at now? Is it going to be ruined? Like we saw with Roy Jones Jr. Granted, his chin got ruined when he moved back down in weight. Others, we've seen that once they got knocked down and once they got caught once, never the same. Is that going to be the thing with Ngannou as he goes back into the MMA world? If that is the case, and that brings up a lot more questions. A lot of questions. But still, maybe this was just, again, outright power meeting outright durability, and power winning in this situation. Most people aren't as strong and don't got the ability to punch like AJ. That's just a fact of life. So even still, getting beat by one of the elite of the elite in terms of power and technique, we may not see that happening. We couldn't very well not see that happening. This could very well have been just a one-off scenario, because of the combination that AJ brought was something that, again, Ngannou never faced before. But if it's not, we do have to beg the question, how will that go once he faces outright power again in that world of the MMA? It's going to be very interesting. Oh, it's going to be very interesting indeed to dissect as time goes on. To wrap all this up essentially about Ngannou, point stands. He should not feel any type of way about this loss. The fight with Joshua, going up against one of the best in the world, the second hardest hitter in the entirety of the division, getting knocked out by him is no disrespect, no discredit. It's not a problem, because he will come back. He will be stronger. He will keep on getting better, whether it's in the MMA or if he stays in the boxing, whatever the case may be. And we will see Ngannou back again. But he's a warrior in the ultimate sense of the word. Ultimate sense of the word. He tested himself against the best, and is essentially batting 500 in my eyes. Officially, he lost both. But for boxing fans that know, combat sports fans that know, this brother's batting 500 against the best in the division of this era. It's not bad at all. Hold your head up high, because you are still the predator. You just became prey against somebody outside of your element. But all respect to him, absolutely. All respect to Francis Ngannou. All respect in the world to him. Still an inspiration to everybody that sees his career unfold. With all that being said, praising Ngannou, praising Anthony Joshua, and rightfully so, when it comes to the man that's on the outside is getting ready to fight for the undisputed title in Tyson Fury. What does this mean for him? Specifically, in terms of how we should view him now. Because what we saw Joshua do to Ngannou versus what we saw him do to Ngannou, or rather what we didn't see him do to Ngannou, getting outright, he got beat up, in my opinion, got beat by Ngannou. Should have lost that fight. We saw his reaction after the absolute devastating knockout by AJ. Ringside, we saw what he looked like, but it was in shock. He really was. And it gave everybody, understandably, the same look on their face, because it wasn't just, oh man, that knockout was something pretty and something vicious. But at the same time, we're looking at Tyson Fury and saying, brother, if he did this to him this quickly and you couldn't handle him at all, how good are you really right now? And that's what begs the question. Have the tables flipped? And now are we looking at a situation where Tyson Fury is not indeed at the top of the division, talent-wise? Is he not? Because with this performance, brother, it's not looking good if you're Tyson Fury. You're looking you're looking terrible. You're looking horrible. We view you as somebody who, if you fought AJ right now, you would get knocked out. That's what it's looking like. Legitimately. If you fought Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury fought Anthony Joshua right now, instead of Usyk for the undisputed title, AJ's coming out the winner. He is. At this stage, he's coming out the winner. There's no way you can't tell me that right now Tyson Fury still beats Anthony Joshua. You can't. And AJ can't beat him. That further proves my point that Usyk is indeed the best heavyweight in the world. I've been saying this for years. For the past years, excuse me. Usyk is the best heavyweight in the world. I don't know what else needs to be shown now. Because if you're saying that AJ beats Fury, and indeed we should all be saying that AJ beats Fury if they fought against each other right now. If we're saying that, but then we see that Usyk beat AJ twice in a row. And again, in retrospective, that's insane. But currently, the only thing that we can logically say is that when Fury and Usyk face off against each other, Usyk should be favored. Usyk should be the favorite. Nobody should be saying that Tyson Fury should be the underdog. We should be saying that. At 6'6", 6'7", because he definitely ain't 6'9", as we saw when he stood up against Francis Ngannou. There's no way you can say that big brother is not the underdog. You have to. What can you say that he can do after what we saw AJ do? And what we've seen Usyk do to AJ? What can you say to give credence to say that he can beat him? Outside of he's bigger. Smaller opponents, we've seen him struggle with smaller, faster opponents before. Tough chin, understandable, absolutely. Lots of heart, but we've seen him knocked down before with the overhand right from smaller opponents, like Cunningham. Hurt and struggled against Otto Wallin while AJ whooped Otto Wallin. Most of the opponents that Tyson Fury's faced that also share opponents with AJ and or Usyk, both of them didn't struggle while he struggled. There's a real cause to say that when it comes to the heavyweight regime and who indeed should be ranked higher or lower in terms of talent, we understand championships. Yes, Tyson Fury is still one of the men to beat as well as Usyk because he's a champion. Lineal and I believe WBC or WBO, one of the two. One of the WB champions. But while the hierarchy, understandable, is still him and Usyk at the top, the talent level in the reality should now be Usyk, AJ, Fury, and even then, could we see a situation where maybe he isn't even the third best? Now it's lofty to say. Understandable. I'm just posing the question. Most likely no. With all respect to Joseph Parker, I don't think he's better than Tyson Fury. Though with him keeping these surprises rolling, of him proving everybody wrong, and him continually winning. Like with him beating one of my highest prospects, not even prospects, highest contenders in the heavyweight division in Zhang, beating him and getting up from knockdowns and beating him from the back burner. Hey, it's not out of the question. Even Fury versus Zhang, it's not out of the question. The gap between Tyson Fury and everybody else has significantly closed. Has become so much more feasible now. All because of what we've seen. We can now put the full puzzle together. Track record of what everybody else has done versus what we've seen Fury do and who he's fought. Again, old Dillian White rematched an old, ancient, beat up Derek Chisora for a fourth time? Third or fourth time when nobody had a desire to see that fight? It's hard for me to say. And with Usyk being Dubois having a great performance against Big Baby Miller, everything connects. Dubois got beat by Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce then beat Big Bang, then beat Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker then beat Zhang, who beat Joe Joyce twice in a row. Everything's connecting, and everybody else has been facing everybody else. And everybody else has been putting up better performances. Just outright. Everybody else has been putting up better performances than what we've been seeing from Tyson Fury of recent. And with the last reality that we got to see with Tyson Fury being him versus Ngannou, and it not looking good at all with him, again, losing, in my perspective. Yeah, AJ, it's not out of the question if you had him as AJ being the second best heavyweight in the world from a talent perspective. Champion's perspective, hey, he's still not a champion, still a contender. Fought his way into an undisputed title shot, but he's still not a champion. But from a talent outright standpoint, oh yeah, we should be viewing him as something serious. We should be viewing him as the second best heavyweight in the world. I ain't got a problem with that. At this point, I have no problem with saying that AJ is the second best heavyweight in the world from a talent perspective, behind Usyk and above Tyson Fury. It's not a problem with me. It's not a problem with me at all. But moving on into honestly a topic that I don't even know if I want to discuss, but it has to be discussed as we end off the show. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Yes, I understand. I know. It is ominous. It's ridiculous. There's so many things wrong with this whole thing. And again, in the words of JR. Hey, look at this! We got some problems here! We have some serious problems going on with this fight. First and foremost, Mike Tyson is going to be 58 by the time that fight happens in July on Netflix. July 30th to be specific. And for those who aren't aware, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is in fact happening. It is going down. They are fighting on Netflix on July 30th. And one of the most left field fights I didn't expect in the slightest. And like I just said, Tyson's going to be 58 years old. 57 right now. 58 on the night of the fight. And Jake Paul's fighting. See, I thought we were done with this, with him as a boxer in this round. Because after he got beat by Tommy Fury, after he had been fighting UFC fighters, NBA ball players, old folks, 40 and up, and there was an argument that you could make with him in his tenure as a boxer. And he is indeed a boxer. Okay. Yes, he's fighting big name bums in the realm of the boxing world because they're MMA fighters or no experience whatsoever. like Nate Robinson. But still, we've seen this track before. Moving up, if you want to make a big star, you want to make a big name, you go and you fight journeymen. You go and you fight bums. You go and you fight tomato cans. You don't fight the best of the best. You fight people that help accentuate your skill and give you viral moments that not only make your name in the stratosphere of boxing more prevalent, but at the same time, give you an opportunity to improve and grow. I could have, even though I hated it, I could excuse it because I understood the path. Knocked out Nate Robinson, never had any fighting experience. Knocked out Ben Askren, one of the worst strikers in the division. Grappler who was a champion, I believe was a champion, but never been a striker ever. Then Tyron Woodley. Then Tyron Woodley again. Was a striker, old, but again, MMA fighter, but understandable. You're growing. Then Anderson Silva. Boxing experience. Because, again, he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Had success. Older. Again, pushing 40-something. But hey, okay, fine. Now you're going and you're fighting a 60-year-old. Somebody who is legitimately as old as your dad. A 30-year age gap. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. It's horrible. We don't want to see this. We don't want to see this. We don't want to see this at all because I don't want to see Mike Tyson knocked out. And I understand we're talking about Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the most ruthless killers that the heavyweight scene, that the boxing scene has ever seen. A icon of this generation and the past generation. One of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport. I get that completely. But we don't want to see him fighting somebody who is 30, 27, with a 30-year age gap. That is not okay. That's horrible. And again, it's not like Mike Tyson needs the money. He's been doing well off. He's got his weed dispensary. He's got his weed empire that he's growing. He's got his own gym that he's training in and trains other people. He's a public speaker. He's got a phenomenal podcast that is one of the biggest in the world. His brand has eclipsed many other companies. He has done everything phenomenally. So it's not like he's scrapped for money. Granted, the Netflix bag that they threw at him was probably ginormous. But the point is, Mike, we know that you love fighting. We know that you like to fight. But we don't want to see you in the ring with somebody that is this much your younger tutelage to some degree. I don't even know this is the right word. If this was in the prime, we understand Jake Paul would die. And I do mean die. At minimum, he's going to the hospital. And he's never fighting again. You're doing it. You beat him so quickly, it's disrespectful. You beat him quicker than you beat Marvin Frazier. You beat him worse than you beat Peter McNeely in your first return to boxing after your prison sentence. You destroy Jake Paul. You kill him. You make him wish he was never born. You, at your best, even past your prime. If you were fighting him at the same age you fought Roy Jones Jr., I would say that you beat him. More than 45, 50, beat him. But pushing 60 now, I want to believe that you can, but boxing logic says that you won't be able to do it. And this is not because I don't believe in Mike Tyson. No, we saw this story before with Evander Holyfield. Holyfield came back and fought was it Victor Belfort, I believe that was his name, a UFC fighter, who came back. He looked chiseled like an Adonis in terms of Evander Holyfield. Looked great. It was on Triller, I believe. One of the new networks, I can't remember. But either way, Evander Holyfield came back for a boxing match, a legitimate one, and looked cut up in the best way possible. Looked defined, looked fresh, looked good. Had me thinking that, we might see a semblance of the old Evander Holyfield to some degree. But he looks like he's still cracked. And then he got whitewashed. Granted, Victor was juiced to the gills with drugs and steroids. And that's more likely why he won. But still, even with that being said, when you watched Evander Holyfield fight, his body wasn't reacting like his mind wanted to go. It just wasn't. It wasn't moving like he wanted to do it. He knew. I saw what he was trying to do. Trying to push Victor away. Trying to essentially utilize the ring. Trying to throw that jab with sharpness and with power. His body just couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it. Because it was too old. And going up against somebody that was younger, relatively that young and spry compared to Evander, he couldn't do anything. This is not like Foreman coming back at 42 to 45 and winning a title. This is Jake Paul only fighting because his last couple fights nobody cared about. Because he went and fought Tommy Fury and lost versus somebody that was relatively close to his age, his talent level, and his youthfulness. He got beat. He did get beat. He got outboxed. And we didn't care. For all the other times that he fought, he didn't care. Fought 2 more times, boom. Knockout. Okay, fine. One of the people essentially landed a punch on him but didn't throw back willingly, almost like he was waiting to get knocked out, legitimately. And the other dude, a professional boxer, both of them were professional boxers, but they were both scrubs. Worse than what he had fought before. It's ridiculous. And now he's fighting a 60-year-old man. Even though it's Mike Tyson, it's a 60-year-old brother. I don't want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. I don't want to see Mike Tyson lose. Lord willing, we see Mike Tyson put this man in a coma. We somehow turns back the clock and puts this man out for good. Legitimately. Puts him in danger. I hope so. Maybe that's me being too aggressive, but I don't care at this point. We know what Jake Paul has been about. He willingly, when put up against competition up on his level, he can't win, but he doesn't want to fight them. Vidal, who is currently ranked above him in terms of WBC rankings, for a title. He could fight him, who's also a YouTuber, who's also a social media star, who is also a legitimate boxer, actually talented, actually in line for titles, not even being funny. I'm serious. Vidal, I believe this was his name, Vidal. But he won't fight him. KSI, who's been right there. Both of you have been building up your abilities, and you won't fight him. You're bigger than him, weight-wise, and you won't fight him. I don't understand. I really don't understand. But you'll fight a 60-year-old. And we know why. Let me phrase it. I do understand. It's because of the money. It's because of the cachet, the name value. Your ability to be in the ring with one of the best in history is what you want. But as somebody said, in fact, Pain Game, True Jordy, some of y'all, if you don't know, follow. Hey, put some pretty good content out. But he said it best. If Jake Paul knocks out Mike Tyson, he will be hated for the rest of his life. And I do mean for the rest of his life. This is not a fair fight. This is not a fight that on paper should be competitive in any way, shape, or form. Though we understand it's Mike Tyson. This is not what we want to see. An icon who's done his part in the sport. This is not what we want. This is not what we want. And we know why you're doing this. Only to get some type of big name reaction. That's it. That's it. Now, this won't hurt Mike Tyson's legacy in terms of who he is as a boxer, because we know what he was. And we know what he would do. If this was even 10 years ago. Shoot, let alone 5 years ago. If he had fought Roy, if Roy had fought him, or if he had fought Jake Paul instead of Roy Jones Jr. at that stint in time. Okay, hey, maybe even then. But you're only doing this so that you can get some big name. And we know you just want to stand there and say, I knocked out Mike Tyson. The world doesn't want to see that, because we don't want to see an icon like that put down. Because where we have put Mike Tyson understandably so, has been on such a high pedestal and throne due to the aura and what he brought to the sports world as a whole. As a whole, this man helped shape people's lives with how he fought. Inspiration to this day comes from him. This is ridiculous. This is like somebody getting in the ring with Sugar Ray Leonard now. It's like Tommy Hearns now. George Foreman now. It's ridiculous. Leon Spinks, Buster Douglas, them 60s and up, all of a sudden they did the prime game. It's ridiculous. No. This isn't competitive because it's not, the age gap and the youthfulness and the ability of the body is not comparable. Now again, Mike Tyson's a freak of nature. Mike Tyson's somebody who has ate, slept, and breathed nothing but violence, boxing, and the sweet science. All his life. We understand it. Again, if I didn't say this before, I'm saying it now. This is the most knowledgeable boxer that Jake Paul has ever faced. Understand it. And from a physically gifted standpoint, still throwing through, Mike Tyson is one of the most physically gifted freak athletes that any sports world has ever seen. The combination of size, power, speed, and agility is something that we hadn't seen at that combination in the history of the sport. At that size in the heavyweight division, never. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And even now, like when he fought against Roy, he looked so good. And he was able to perform to some degree. In fact, holding himself back when he fought against Roy Jones Jr., legitimately pulling punches to make the fight go on. Though he could have landed on Roy. And Roy had been more active, mind you. Roy's most recent fight, it came like last year, but before that fight with Tyson. He had just gotten in the ring and then fought in the ring a couple times in the past. So he had been active. And he did that to Roy Jones Jr., an active Roy Jones Jr. Though we know Roy isn't nowhere close to where he used to be. 15, 20 years out the ring versus a year or two. Still training as if you're getting ready to fight in terms of Roy Jones Jr. And you do that, that's incredible. That's phenomenal. So even now we understand that Mike Tyson still looks like a killer. He still trains in the gym. Still has a personal trainer that he goes and does videos on. Still does comedy. He still looks great. Don't get me wrong there. I still wouldn't want to be in the ring with him. Actually, I would just to be able to say, hey, I got there, to see what Mike Tyson was really about. Understanding I wouldn't win, but still. The only thing with this, though, is the fact that with all of that going for Mike Tyson, it's still so much going against him because he's 60 years old. What if the gas tank is gone? Or not if. Most likely the gas tank is gone. Maybe he can't go for as long as we would love to see him go. Most importantly, his chin. Bigger than anything at 60 years old. Can you take a punch? Can you take a shot at 60? Can you be able to withstand somebody, especially with legitimate pop, as Jake Paul at 60 years old? Is your reaction time the same? All these questions swirl around, and it makes this fight more and more ridiculous and makes me hate the actions of Jake Paul even more. Because we understand what this is all about. Just to put your name in some sort of controversial light. And it will. You'll be hated for the rest of your life. You will be hated for the rest of your life if you knock out Mike Tyson. Now, we could also see Mike Tyson knock out Jake Paul, and I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping so much that happens. I want that so much. I've never wanted something so much in my life. Well, there's only few things I've ever wanted this much. This is one of them. Mike to end this and knock Jake Paul clean out. Put him in a coma. That would be the best. Put him in a coma. Land that one big shot because the power is the last thing to go. And he is still indeed strong. Let's not get that twisted. He is still indeed strong. But it's all because Jake Paul, cherry picking old fighters who either haven't been in the ring, they have never fought in the boxing realm before, or haven't been in the ring for up teen years. And it's such a blatant ploy that I just don't want to see a hero of mine get hurt. I don't want to see him get beat. If it was Tyson versus Holyfield, if it was Tyson versus James Toney, if it was Tyson even versus the Razor Ruddock now, okay, fine. I'll watch that. I'll tune into that. Because that's an even playing field. That is a fair fight. People from the same generation fighting against each other. That is a fair fight. That's an understandable fight. Retired. Both of y'all are at the same age, relatively. And the playing field is equal. Muscle loss, speed loss, chin, durability, all that stuff. All of it now is on the level playing field because you all are both at the same age. This isn't that. It just isn't. And I don't want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. But that's the real fear. Jake Paul could knock out Mike Tyson. And at 60 years old, it's not as high of a possibility. It's not as lofty of a possibility. It's just something that I don't want to see happen. Because we've seen him knock out everybody else. This ain't a fluke. It's not a ploy. This isn't rigged. Like we've seen, like everybody's trying to claim these other fights. If it was rigged, he would have let the fight go on. Or he would have gone more than just a couple rounds, like in some instances. Killed Tyron Woodley. Killed Ben Askren. Knocked down Anderson Silva, legitimately. And if Anderson Silva was younger and had been in the boxing realm even longer, he would have beat him. But still, this is jumping the shark. This is going beyond what we've seen from Jake Paul in this whole influencer thing. Because now you're touching one of the all-time greats. Now you're touching a darling. Now you're touching an icon. You're touching somebody that is integral to this sport. You're touching somebody that is, in some people's eyes, the second best heavyweight boxer in the world, only akin to Mike Tyson. And some people, they call him the GOAT. Some people say that Mike Tyson is the greatest heavyweight in history. So you're touching now number one and number two and going at them for no reason outside of the objective need for money and for clout. And I hate it. I hate that Mike signed up for it. I really do. This won't hurt Mike's legacy for what he is. Because we understood what he is one of the best boxers in the world, is one of the most destructive forces that the sport has ever seen, is one of the greatest of all time. Cemented in stone. But when somebody at that high of a status gets put down in this fashion, if he does, and I hope it don't happen, but if it does, it's such a harmful thing. You can't even compare this to when Larry Holmes fought against Muhammad Ali. Because that was for Ali's title. That was for a title. That was for a belt. That was for a legitimate boxing accolade. In which what had to be done had to be done. That is not this. Yes, people hated Larry Holmes. Understandable. Because they saw their icon in Ali beaten down. Beaten all 12. He didn't quit. But he got beat all 12 rounds. Or however long the fight lasted before he got stopped. But it was not this. That's not the same as this. That is somebody who still in the sport. Boxing. Championship is on the line. We have to fight. I have to go against you. It's unavoidable. You're still here and I have to win this title. I can't go away. I have to keep on boxing. I trained with you, I sparred with you, but I have to beat you if I want to keep on moving up. That's not what this is with Jake Paul. Yes, you beat Larry Holmes, be the older icon of Ali, but it was still in the confines of we both are still boxing in our careers. And there is a title at stake. Legitimate circumstances where I got to fight you. And if I stop, something may happen and I may lose. This is the fight game. Terrence Crawford said it best, I'm here to kill. And paraphrase him, I'm here to kill. I don't care. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to damage you severely. But if I don't and I let up, something could happen and I get caught. So I got to do what I got to do. That's not this. If Jake Paul wanted to be legitimate, go and fight somebody relative to your status, to your skill set, to your age. Not go and fight a 60-year-old. It's stupid that this is the type of stuff that we have to deal with. It's going to get tens of millions of views. It's going to get tens of millions of people because it's on Netflix. For anybody who has Netflix, you'll be able to see it live. Boy, I hate it. I hate it. And Jake Paul is going to be the biggest villain in the history of boxing if he does this to Mike Tyson. Just taking this fight, offering this fight, was ridiculous and stupid. And I hate that Jake Paul went this route. It shows how low and utterly diabolical, despicable a person can get to. A person can steep down towards. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. That's what it is. And I hope on everything that we see Mike Tyson knock him out. That we see Mike, who's knowledgeable, who in the past would have cleaned him out easily, turn back the clock one more time. Because I have to watch. It's part of my job, but I don't want to see a hero of mine get utterly obliterated. I don't. And I don't say obliterated because, he just doesn't have a shot in the world. No, he does. But it's because he's 60 years old, nearly 58 on the night of the fight. It's a ridiculous thing to say that logically, to say that he can beat him. This goes beyond killer instinct, killer mentality. It goes beyond that. This is something that you can't just will yourself to do. Oh, I see red, hence I'm going to just do whatever. I'll be able to get what I need done. It can't be like that. Logic has to, in some way, shape, or form, take hold and say, look, this brother's nearly as old as his parents, such as Jake Paul's parents. And you're fighting him. You should beat him. You should beat him. But it's not a great win. It's not a good win. It's not a respectable win. That's not a respectable win at all. It's ridiculous. It's outright ridiculous. And I hate it. Nobody gets beat to Kingdom Come. Again, put in the coma. That's what I hope happens to Jake Paul in this fight. One round, put in the coma. Countered to Kingdom Come. Can't even get a punch off. I hope that happens. Or it's made to look foolish with Tyson's peekaboo style. And Tyson somehow turns back the clock. And not only doesn't get hit, but destroys him. Because if he does, he will be more beloved than he ever. I don't think he may not have seen as much love, even as loved as he is right now, as if he beats Jake Paul. The amount of adulation that this man will get if he in fact does what seems like the impossible and knocks out Jake Paul, who is 30 years below him in terms of age, vastly inexperienced relative to what he knows about the boxing game. But because of that age gap is so detrimentally large, but he still comes back and beats him, knocks him out. My gosh, a hero to everybody. It'll end this whole show of Jake Paul once and for all. Because one thing about Jake Paul, we're ending on this ride doesn't end until he gets knocked out. Not until he loses, because he lost against Tyson Fury or Tommy Fury. Not until he gets beat up, no, knocked out. That's the only way that this ride ends. That's the only thing people want to see. We don't want to see him lose. Just lose. We want to see him KO'd. And he won't end until he gets KO'd. Until he gets stopped clean. Put in real concern. Family looking on and saying, where is my son? Stuff like that is the only thing that's going to stop somebody like Jake Paul from continuing this charade of boxing. And again, he is a real boxer. We have to say, he is a real boxer at this point. But the game that he's playing is ridiculous and stupid. I hate it. Everybody hates it. We want to see it end. And my gosh, if Tyson can turn back the clock and end this in one go, more beloved than he will ever know in his life. And I'm here for it. But I don't want to see an icon and a legend and somebody that me and the rest of the boxing world hold in such high esteem. I don't want to see him get beat. Especially like this, because this doesn't seem like a fair fight. It's just sad on Jake Paul's part. It's just sad all around. Sad all around. And I hope he gets beat to Kingdom Come. I hope he gets knocked out. Put on the canvas. Worse than what we saw Ngannou do. Worse than what Ngannou got done to him by AJ. I hope that's what happens. I hope that's what happens. Knocked out clean. With that being said.
Hey, look at it! Hey, look at it!
This has been another episode of the Neutral Corner with me, the Welch Report. With me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Again, hey, if you want to hear more boxing content as well, go and listen to the Neutral Corner on ESPN Podcast with ESPN 730 The Game on every podcasting platform, but also right here on YouTube. You can listen to the Welch Report to where we cover the NBA, the NFL, boxing, and so much more. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And please leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. I've been John Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here.